vengeful mermaids. Men getting what's coming to them. A fairy tale you've likely never heard before, and a guest storyteller of the highest caliber.
It's time for Folklore with Friends. Bonk.
Yes, it's time for Folklore with Friends! And my friend is a longtime favorite author of mine, and a man who knows his way around a weird, dark, old fairy tale. I am so pleased to present this fabulous feminist folktale with him. Please welcome to your feed, and I do expect you to applaud, yes, you right there in your living room, on the toilet, in the elevator, Mr. Adam Gidwitz.
Hi, I'm Adam Gidwitz, host of Grimm, Grimmest, a podcast for kids and grown-ups where I retell scary, weird, messed up fairy tales. Also the author of a book, A Tale Dark and Grimm, which does the same thing. And today I'm going to be telling you a story called The Jaws of the Merman by Franz Xaver von Schonwerth. Franz Xaver von Schonwerth was a collector of German fairy tales around the same time as the brothers Grimm, sort of at the end of their career in the 1850s. He never published his stories, and they were only found about 20 years ago in a box in a Bavarian library by a grad student. And so they were translated and published into English, and they are weird and different. They're new. A lot of them are stories that, I haven't seen in other forms before, and this is one of them. Once upon a time, there was a girl who lived with her father in a little village by a large lake. From the day she could walk, she wanted to swim in that lake, but it was forbidden. Her father would say to her,
"There's a monster that lives in that lake."
And everyone in the village believed it. But as the girl grew, so did her desire to swim in the lake. She would stare at it longingly. It called to her, and she'd think,
"I'm gonna swim in you, lake."
And finally, when she grew to be a young woman, she told her father that she would swim in that lake whether he approved or not.
"I'm gonna swim in that lake, Dad, and you can't stop me."
No, please, don't go! That monster will slay you!
But she didn't listen. She ran to the lake and plunged in, and though she had never been taught to swim, she slid through the water as naturally as a fish. She turned on her back and did the backstroke, and spit water from her mouth like a whale. All the other girls in the village saw her swimming, and they cried,
"I want to swim in the lake! It looks so cool, and so fresh, and so free!"
But all their fathers said,
"Don't you dare swim in that lake, young lady! Didn't you hear there's a monster in there?"
The young women did not listen. They saw the girl sliding through the lake like a fish, doing the backstroke, spitting water from her mouth like a whale, and they ran down to the edge of the lake and dove in. They swam all day and into the evening, and only when the stars blinked into the sky did they arise dripping from the water. The next day they swam again. Every day that they swam in the lake they seemed to grow more beautiful, until word of their beauty traveled all through the kingdom, and men would come from far and wide just to gaze at the beautiful girls who swam in the lake. Yeah, that's creepy and gross, I know. And then one day, the king came, and he watched the young women swimming in the lake, particularly the girl, whose name we do not know because it's a fairy tale. And the king said,
"I'm gonna marry that girl."
And he turned to a villager.
"Hey, you." "Who, me?"
"Yeah, you. What's her name?"
"Nobody knows. Not even the storyteller. It's a fairy tale."
And when the king approached the girl's father and demanded her hand in marriage, the girl's father was ecstatic. He called his daughter before her, and she emerged dripping from the lake. But when she heard the king's offer, she flatly refused.
"I will stay in this town, and I will swim in this lake, and I will never be your queen."
To which her father said,
"What?
and the king said,
What?"
But the king returned the next day, and the next, and each time he brought more and more of his friends. Courtiers and lords and kings from neighboring kingdoms. They all came to see all the beautiful maidens who swam in the lake and emerged dripping in the starlight, more beautiful than before. 'Cause they were all a bunch of creeps. Finally, one evening, after watching the young women swim all day, the king announced that he could wait no longer.
"I can wait no longer. That girl is gonna be my wife. And we'll call her, what's her name the third?"
"I don't want you to call me anything."
"Too late. It's been decreed. What's her name the third?"
And all the other lords and courtiers and kings said,
"Number 4 over there is mine.
Yeah, and I'm taking you, whoever you are.
And so a great wedding was organized in that little town by the lake, and veils were put over the young women's faces, and they wept under the veils. They were brought before their husbands, and the king lifted the veil from the girl's face, and he screamed.
Holy mackerel!
Because the tears that had run down her face had left a trail of scales on her cheeks and down her neck. Fish scales. And all the husbands-to-be raised the veils from all the other women's faces, and all of them had fish scales following the tracks of their tears. The king cried.
These women are fish?
He wondered what he should do, and then he realized that he should do what you always do with fish.
Roast 'em.
So a great bonfire was made by the edge of the lake, and all the girls were put up on it, and the fire was lit beneath them by the king.
And tell the chef I want them extra crispy. Oh, but hold the coleslaw. You know me and mayonnaise, ugh.
The bonfire began to roast them, starting with their toes. The girl kept looking at the lake.
Come on. Come on!
Their scaly flesh seared, and the smell of their flesh rose to the king's nose. But just then, the earth began to rumble. No, not the earth. The lake. And up from the lake's center there arose an enormous head, blue and green, and though it was the shape of a giant man, it had the scales and eyes of a fish. And the giant head opened its great jaws and outpoured tons and tons of water. The water formed a bridge from his mouth to the bonfire, and the fire was quenched.
Hey, I was using that bonfire! Ooh.
The girl stepped onto the water bridge, and it held her.
Bye!
So she walked up the bridge, over the lake, and, with all the young women following her, she walked straight into the giant merman's jaws. And then he closed his mouth and sank back into the lake. The people screamed.
Oh God, I have regrets!
The king fainted.
No!
The girl's father wept. But once all the king and all his fancy, creepy friends were gone, the girl surfaced, and her face was a beautiful blue-green, and when she kicked the water, her feet had been replaced by a wide fish tail. And to this day, if you visit that little town by the lake, you can see the beautiful women frolicking in the water, their seared feet shaped like fishtails, their scaly cheeks tear-free, slipping through the waves, doing the backstroke, and blowing water into the air like whales. The end.
I don't know about you, but that fairy tale has skyrocketed to the top of my favorites list, and I'm gonna get my hands on this collection of obscure German folklore immediately. If you don't want to wait, Adam has shared several of
Franz Xaver von Schonwerth
tales on his top-tier podcast, Grimm, Grimmer, Grimmest. Adapted the Jaws of the Merman for his kid audience there, so you'll not only get a masterclass in how you can share the same weird old fairy tale with a child audience, but you'll hear the kids' unbridled, absolutely iconic reactions and ideas along the way. The newest season of Grimm, Grimmer, Grimmest debuts this week on Pinna, and you can listen wherever you like to pod. Thanks for the amazing story, Adam, and thanks to you all for watching.